My name is Dhira. I live in Sheffield, in Yorkshire, in England. I teach meditation and I'm an artist. I first started drawing when I was really young. My adopted mother has this story of me that I was really little and really ill, and she was wondering whether to call the doctor or not. And so she said, how are you? How are you? Do we need the doctor? And all I could say was, well, I don't know, but I can draw it for you. And so the way that I could communicate with the world was to make marks and say, this is me, this is how I'm feeling, through the paintings. My story begins pretty much as I came out of the womb, or at least that's what it feels like. 10 weeks after I was born. And within the space of a couple of hours, I guess, I left my natural mother and was handed over to new adopted parents. And that transition had a massive effect on me. Of course, I was only a tiny little baby, so I couldn't make any kind of cognitive sense of what was going on. It was just purely an experience. But it kind of felt like I was taken from one universe to another universe, with a totally different environment, different smells, different sounds, different people around me. I grew up somehow always knowing that I was adopted. And my adopted parents were amazing, amazing, loving, very committed people, very committed to me and adopting me. However, for me, it was a big struggle. My adopted family were very, very different to me, or I was very, very different to them. In that, as a little child, I was very sensitive and quiet and creative and intuitive. And my parents, my adopted parents, were hardworking, salt of the earth farmers, kind of Church of England, conservative. I was tiny and petite. They were big and what they called big-boned. So I was so different from them in every possible way. And I just felt incredibly confused about who I was. They weren't the kind of people who hugged or kissed. We only kissed on Christmas Day. And they weren't demonstrative. They didn't say, I love you, or hold me in that kind of loving space, which some part of me really, really desired and needed. And sometimes, you know, when people have photographic albums of their families and they go, oh yeah, here's Uncle so-and-so and she's got his nose, and here's Auntie Mary, and Joe's got her hair. There was none of that for me. When my adopted family got the family albums out, there was nothing that I could relate to. And I really, really longed to see someone who'd got the same kind of fingernails that I had, same kind of hair, and just someone who looked like me, someone who shared my DNA. All of that felt so, so important, and that would help me feel anchored here on the planet as part of the human race. The experience of the adoption started to create beliefs in me that clearly, if my natural mother had given me up, that I couldn't be lovable, I couldn't be good enough, I couldn't be worthy of love. And those beliefs just played out through my whole life. So just always believing that I wasn't lovable enough meant that I had huge issues around relating with people and trusting people and even being close to people. For a lot of my life, I lived in quite a hermity way, keeping the rest of the world at bay, because to get close to someone could risk having to go through that experience of abandonment again, and something in me could not go there again, feared it greatly. And so it kind of snowballed, and this natural mother who was out there just became this bigger and bigger figure in my life that I had to find. I just so believed that she would make everything better when I did find her. And I kind of even imagined that she was like some kind of Virgin Mary figure, some poor victim of circumstance that was longing to find me as well. And that once I found her, it would end this kind of feeling of feeling so separate and so alone. It came to me that I could actually create the mother that I wanted. And so I actually made some mothers, and they're about 18 inches high. They're made from velvet and satin and feathers and wool and cat hair that one of my cats generously donated. This was, amazingly healing to do that. This was called Snow Hunter Mother. It was like, a mother with her happy little baby in her papoose. How they could survive in extreme circumstances, how she could look after her little baby and still be in the awesome wilderness of the world, and yet all would be well. The second figure is called Sweet Dreams Mother, and that was the mother who could tell me bedtime stories and rock me to sleep at night and hold me close. And then the shamanic mother. And so she would be the magical mother that would take me journeying through the underworld and teach me things about herbs and nature and animals and the stars and the heavens. She was the magical mother. This little red mother I called Happy Mother because she's giving birth. And she's very, very happy about giving birth to this little baby. So I kind of recreated my birth. This next mother is Feral Mother. And she's made of satin, but then I more or less covered her in cat hair. And she's the dark, wild, magical mother who lives purely on instinct and intuition, and they're the gifts that she taught me. And then shortly after making my mothers, I went through the divorce from hell, which was a tremendously growthful time. So that kind of started to come through in my paintings. This one here, She Tends My Forest. It was, this amazing earth mother that was looking after me, loving me and connecting me to all of creation, because I didn't feel connected through my adopted mother, through my family. This expression of something else connecting me and anchoring me on the planet was so important. This natural mother who was out there, eventually I managed to trace where she was living, and it still took 11 years before I actually managed to physically meet her. The meeting did not go well. She was obviously, having had to give up baby when she was 17, she was, just a kid, had a profound effect on her too. She was just emotionally, apparently so shut down. She could not express any kind of feeling. She didn't show any kind of warmth to me whatsoever. The strange thing was, and what was so valuable in that meeting, was that she looked exactly like me, or I looked exactly like her. She was the first person on the planet that I'd seen that I had this physical connection with, and that just meant the world to me in that moment. I'm so grateful for that. I met her one other time after that, and she was very, how to say it, unfriendly in that. I began to realize that if she wasn't going to make me feel better, if she couldn't give me all the love that I wanted, if she couldn't make me whole and end this horrendous feeling of separation, if she couldn't do it, then there was no one else on the planet who could. And that instead of looking on the outside for something to make me feel better, someone to make me feel better, then the only place that I could go, the only place left to go, was here inside. I had to find it in myself. I had to find that anchor, all that love, all that peace, all that contentment. I had to find it in me. This is you are everything, and everything is you. And I was just so interested in how everything was interconnected. I was really into shamanism, and when I look at it now, I can see it's not about the self, the mini self. It's about the bigger self. How were the fishes? How were the flowers? How were the sun? I've drawn a little bird's nest. It's like everything. There's no individual me in this painting. Although at the time I didn't fully understand that. This little painting here was called Anger, Terror and Grief. And this, I love this painting. I love the colors. I love how it so expressed my experience of suffering at that time. You know, her mouth, hang on, let me put my glasses on. Her mouth was kind of covered up. She couldn't speak. There was so much tension in her guts. There was kind of like this icy white, snowy, frozen landscape around her. It was such an intense inner period of trauma and suffering. And it was so great to paint it out, to just put it on the paper. And, you know, that was a way of releasing it, of letting it go, of just saying, this is how I'm feeling. And things started to get better after that, fortunately. So this painting, Into the Blue Sky, I was at this Buddhist center trying to meditate. And they were saying, you know, peace is possible. But that definitely wasn't my experience at the time. My mind was so busy, all kind of thoughts going on. And no one explained to me that that was actually part of the meditation process, that it was part of stress release. But what I was moved to do was to paint a painting of what I thought I would look like if I were peaceful. And so this painting expresses that. And I just love this painting to bits, because now I have this experience of peace. I know exactly what this painting feels like. And it was like all those years ago, 2006, I painted it, and then I managed to manifest it in my life all these years later. So yeah, that's one of my most favourite paintings. This next painting, that which can never be taken from me, is just this golden sphere. Somehow I started to know that there was something within me that hadn't been damaged, that was pure and whole and solid and amazing. And I just had to find it somehow. But it was there. I knew it was there. Nothing on the planet could ever take that from me. So it was a very, very simple painting. I did it in about half an hour, and yet it seemed to express everything that I was searching for. That experience showed me that all the love that I'd thought was out here, somewhere floating around, was actually in this endless, eternal, infinite source within me. And the more that I began to let go and rest in this inner place, that became so much more important to me than all these old beliefs that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy of love. All of these old patterns kind of started to fall away. I was so unhappy, so desperate, in fact. So this practice brought me far more than I could have ever imagined. It brought me this amazing contentment. What I have now is that I feel so at peace with the world. There's no longer that outward search for something to make me feel better. And what's also come is an amazing sense of how perfect all those early experiences were. Because although at the time they were highly traumatic and distressful, what I can see now is how perfect they were, because I reckon my soul set me up big time in this lifetime to initially experience extreme separation in order that I could find my way back to this experience of peace and contentment, this connection with everything that is me, it's within me, it's around me, it's everything. Now I have an immense gratitude for those experiences, how they've brought me to this moment right here, right now, how they've brought me to this amazing experience of peace. So, yeah, it's been an awesome life, and now life is even more awesome, right here, right now. And so this is what this painting's about. To become enlightened, to become free, to let go of all sense of limitation and separation, then like the ripening peach, it will become fully ripe and fall from the tree. And I just feel so inspired by that.